to SVG-TV News for Friday, February 14th, 2025. I'm Jennifer Richardson with the details. Minister of Agriculture Sabota Seizure has reiterated the precarious position the country finds itself in due to imported inflation. Speaking on the issue at the handing over of seedlings by a Canadian company, the minister said citizens will continue to feel the price increases at supermarkets.
There's something that is happening in our world where St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, Barbados, all the islands of the Caribbean, we are witnessing something that is called imported inflation, meaning that we are buyers of some items of food from the international markets, and because of disruptions globally, when we go to the supermarkets, we are impacted by significant increases. Therefore, if you go to the supermarket to buy onions or to buy oranges, to buy anything imported, there are things that are taking place internationally that will impact on your pocket.
The minister stressed the importance of more people growing their own food, highlighting that this is one effective way to reduce cost on much-needed fruits and vegetables.
We are to survive and ensure that we have food and nutrition security, whereby food must always be affordable, available, and accessible. We need to grow more. We have 12,000 registered farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But for the most part, many of our farmers, they're producing food for export. We have a lot of persons going into the expansion of dasheen production, for example. But this dasheen, when reaped, is taken to the port in Kingstown and exported to Barbados and to Trinidad and Tobago, to Miami, to the British Virgin Islands. And even though we are seeing a significant recovery post the hurricane, there's so much dasheen and plantains that we can eat here locally. And what we want to do is to witness over the coming weeks and months an increase in production in your backyards.
Meanwhile, Still Kicking charity based in Canada today donated hundreds of seedlings to the Ministry of Agriculture and the Zero Hunger Trust Fund. Minister Seizure commended the charity group for their ongoing support of his ministry's food security project. Still Kicking Charity Executive Director Dwight Anderson stated that the seeds were donated by West Coast Seeds in Canada and urged that St. Vincent and the Grenadines establish its own national seed bank, considering that farmers continue to be affected by disasters.
But we don't know how certain relationships, how long they'll go on in perpetuity or how long they'll go on for. So I'm going to suggest to my friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that we work collaboratively on growing the seeds to the point where growing the plants or the vegetables to the point where they develop seed and we save the seed. We need a national seed bank. We can be food self-sufficient. We can have our food sovereignty and at the same time have our seeds so when we're impacted by disasters, whatever it may be, hurricanes or tropical storms or the volcano, we can reach within instead of waiting for someone from without to come and bring seeds to us.
Marketing executive with the farmer support company Alex Banwell highlighted the timeliness of the donation, stating that it will go a long way in supporting the food security project in the country.
Seeing our brother come down with these seeds and offering them up so that we can give these traditional cultivators, farmers, and people to grow them in their backyard is quite sentimental. It has deep meaning. One of the things on the table right now that has come to, the forefront is food security. It's not a laughing matter. It's a very serious topic. It's something that we have to look at, and I want to take your minds to somewhere else as well. We have to think about issues that are affecting Vincentians, like non-communicable diseases, because the imported foods and things that we are using, sometimes they don't fit our palate, our diet. They do not provide the nutritional value that we need. And if you can look at this table here and see the amount of organic produce, there are literal cures here for ailments that we have every single day.
The Zero Hunger Trust is responsible for distributing the seeds as they are working closely with the Ministry of Agriculture on Food Insecurity Project. Chief Executive Officer of the Zero Hunger Trust Fund, Safia Hornbeek, stated that more than 500 households have benefited from seed distribution thus far, and having more seeds to distribute is welcomed.
And even if you weren't familiar with producing your own food, we want to help you get there. We started last year as a response to Hurricane Beryl. We have seen a lot of persons interested. We have distributed seedlings to over 500 households. We have started the chicken distribution as our second phase. And trust me, that one is to be honest, shocking. I did not realize so much people would want to grow their own chickens. So we are now growing our own food, both vegetable. We have been distributing the seedlings, the chicken. So basically you have a whole meal that we are helping you to grow in your backyard. And we want to expand this. We started with vulnerable persons. Now we are seeing everybody in St. Vincent and the Grenadines reaching out to the Zero Hunger Trust Fund. And these seeds are going to help us to expand and make sure that we can reach as much persons as possible.
The Zero Hunger Trust Fund monitors seed production and provides support to individuals with their backyard gardening efforts. A memorandum of understanding has been signed between the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labour and Ripples to Waves Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to ocean conservation through a combination of science, experiential learning and artistic expression. The agreement was signed by Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labour, Suboto Caesar, and founder of Ripples to Waves Incorporated, Raven Hofland. The collaborative partnership aims to address shared environmental concerns and enhance the effectiveness of development initiatives through a multifaceted approach. Key areas of focus include enabling education and outreach training, research initiatives, and joint efforts on environmental engagements related to biodiversity, conservation, and public awareness in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Minister Caesar highlighted the significance of sustained collaboration in conservation, emphasizing that it strengthens the ministry's initiatives and contributes to the broader environmental and sustainable development goals of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Under my watch, we were able to have a maximum size place on lobsters to be harvested. We also did significant work, as I mentioned earlier, in ensuring that we have a total ban on the harvesting of turtles in the country and of the parrot fish. And I know that this is seen as a best practice, and there are many countries that would like to advance their conservation platform, but they do not exhibit the political will so to do. We will continue to work with the various conservation organizations within the country, and we are doing so within the context that we continue to grapple with the vagaries of climate change. Sustainability in our marine ecosystem is of first importance, and we will continue to address issues of marine pollution. I know that we have within the Fisheries Department an excellent cadre of multifaceted and multi-talented young technicians who will be working with persons in the private sector and NGOs and community-based organizations. So I really wish this partnership all the very best. As I noted, Raven is not new to the cooperation in the marine space, and it is going to really augur well, not only from the standpoint of partnering at the policy level, but the stakeholders in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will benefit significantly. Thank you.
Member of Parliament for the Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, has been applauded for his faithful representation of the people of the Southern Grenadines over many years. Opposition Member of Parliament for Central Kingstown, Major St. Clair Leacock, addressing an opposition New Democratic Party NDP Town Hall meeting in Union Island last evening, told the gathering that Oliver has faithfully represented the cause of education in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as the people and children in the Southern Grenadines.
It is Terrence Oliver, who after he had been rejected and rebuffed 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and too many times, said it would be better to have secondary education in the Southern Grenadines and have your children stay here. In Canada, to be specific. And he has said so not just in terms of the fact that it would be easier because they wouldn't have to commute or that it would be cheaper, but he had looked and paid attention to the social issues on mainland St. Vincent that a lot of our young students, especially of the female, had to undergo when they were in the charge of others. Terrence, supported by Patel, joined that quest to make life and education more progressive and easier by asking for there to be a hostel, a special housing facility in St. Vincent, so that the children could be under proper care and protection. Today, that still has not materialized. But you can see how the same people who could not appreciate the vision and the forward thinking of Terrence at that time were quick today to hustle and hoard their people on mainland St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their personal self-interest. The same effort, the same cost, the same drive, the same initiative could have been lent years ago to have Grenadines, Canada, Mayo, Southern Grenadines, Northern Grenadines children in better and proper accommodation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
MP for the Southern Grenadines, Terrence Oliver, in his address to the gathering, noted that just after Hurricane Beryl devastated the island, the NDP team was on the ground, standing in solidarity with the people. Though it has been over 7 months since the hurricane, Oliver highlighted that the people of Union Island and the Southern Grenadines continue to suffer from the aftermath of the disaster.
Man, I have never seen so much grief on people's faces. I have never seen so much disappointment on people. The contractors have said they are not working for the government anymore, some of them. Because I built 4 houses, I built 5 houses, and I have no pay. How do you expect them to continue to work if they have families too? And if you don't pay the contractors, how can they pay the workers to continue the work to assist the people of the Southern Grenadines? And it's a burning shame. But you're coming down every week. And you're giving people the impression, like if you're doing a millions of things in the Grenadines. Today, there's so many people have no places to live. They don't want to go to mainland. They don't want to go to mainland. Wait, I come into that. But here what happened? You have these model houses that came from England. Some of them still park in certain places and people have no place to live. Why don't you give them out? You give out just 1, 2, or 3. What happened to the others? What happened to the other people? Why haven't you been giving the people these houses to live? And then you're jumping up now and say, people must learn to help themselves. We want to help ourselves. I want you to help them with the millions of dollars that you have. Help the people of these islands. That is the help that they must be given. People are suffering. You cannot be treating poor people like this. And you know the people who suffer the most are the poorer class of people who have no place to live, who are suffering. And you think we're suffering down here too, as Honorable Daniel said, they're suffering on the mainland.
Leader of the NDP, Dr. Godwin Friday, also addressed the gathering, saying that while Beryl caused significant devastation in the Southern Grenadines, it did not destroy the spirit of the people, nor dampen their hope. He expressed admiration for the resilience of the community and praised MP Oliver for his unwavering service and dedication to the people.
Terrence and I have been in this thing from the very beginning of the New Democratic Party in opposition. We came in as young men in this struggle at a time when we knew that our great party, the Democratic Party, that our country was going to be relying on us, even if we were in opposition, which it looked likely that it would happen. But we put our hands up and we said, count me in. Send me, and I will serve the people of my community. Terence has been doing that steadfastly for the last 20-something years. And I am proud to say that as my colleague in this great struggle to represent the people of our country, that he has been a great example of someone who puts the needs and the concerns of his community ahead of his own on many occasions in order to ensure that you get what you need to move forward. That was seen during the time of this terrible ordeal of recovering from Hurricane Beryl.
The Southern Grenadines was severely impacted by Hurricane Beryl on July 1st, 2024. The Garifuna Heritage Foundation, through the Garifuna Reparations Working Group, continues its reparatory efforts with a particular focus on advancing reparatory work. This was stated by the Technical Director of the Garifuna Heritage Foundation, Soila Ellis-Brown, at the launch of the 12th Garifuna Conference. Ellis-Brown, a member of the Reparations Working Group, emphasized that reparatory justice for the Garifuna people must be approached in a pragmatic and practical manner.
Our approach to the call for reparatory justice must be strategic. On the one hand, we intend to encourage continued theoretical exploration of reparation as a legal, economic, and social construct, focusing on the impact of the colonial process on our Garifuna communities in particular, and indigenous people in general. On the other hand, we support processes which identify and strengthen elements of the indigenous Garifuna culture that in a practical sense allowed the Garifuna to survive and thrive.
CARICOM, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, has been advocating for reparations. Ellis-Brown expressed that the Garifuna people are grateful for this advocacy. While some programs have already begun, she stressed that more needs to be done to address the genocide and injustices committed by colonizers.
Survivors remain traumatized, landless, and are the most marginalized social group in the region. And according to the CARICOM website, the UWI offers an Indigenous People Scholarship in a desperate effort at rehabilitation. That is one effort, but it is not enough in the region from CARICOM's perspective, and it is not enough from our perspective. It is woefully insufficient. A development plan is required to rehabilitate the community.
At the 12th Garifuna Conference, scheduled for March 11 to 13th, reparations will be a central topic of discussion as part of the strategies for constructing the Garifuna component of a 2030 Indigenous Peoples Plan. Mental health is crucial for maintaining a state of well-being, which in turn promotes effective social functioning. This was highlighted by Shandian Mack, a staff nurse at the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center, during her appearance on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program. Nurse Mack emphasized that self-love and mental health are closely connected, as both work together to foster positive mental health.
Well, self-love and mental health are deeply interconnected. Cultivating self-love, it has been shown to enhance your mental well-being. It decreases anxiety, depression, and anger, while increasing feelings of happiness. You feel happy. It releases serotonin, which is the hormone responsible for you being happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it increases the feeling of happiness. And by fostering self-love, individuals can build resilience and develop a more positive outlook on life, which are essential components of mental health.
Nurse Mack explained that practicing self-love the right way without becoming narcissistic or vain requires balance.
And it comes down to balance. You have to be able to take care of yourself while remaining considerate to others. You treat others with the same kindness and respect that you would treat yourself with. You stay humble and be mindful of the way you approach others. And you do this in a way that it doesn't harm or neglect others. You don't want to always be up in somebody's face with, oh, I am this, I am that, I am that. Mm-hmm. You have to be strong and say, yes, I am this, but also I'm going to accept you for who you are. I'm going to love you for who you are, and just be overall kind to persons.
Nurse Mack outlines several ways to positively impact one's mental health through self-love, including setting boundaries.
There are
Mm-hmm.
Positively impact your mental health through self-love by talking kindly to yourself.
People might think that you're crazy, not so?
No, this will enhance your self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? You set healthy boundaries. You have to learn to say no, especially to things that drain your energy. You don't always want to be a yes man, and being like, everybody saying, come, let us do this. You know you don't want to do it, but you're just going to do it because. You have to be able to say, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm not comfortable doing that. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You also engage in regular physical activities. You can join a gym, a fitness group, or go for small walks when necessary. You prioritize your sleep. You try to get at least 8 hours of sleep every night. You eat healthy, and you surround yourself with positive influences and engage in activities that you actually love.
A police operation in Stony Grounds, Kingstown, has led to the seizure of 5,539 grams of cocaine and the arrest of a fisherman from Lower Kittels on drug-related charges. A news release from the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force says that on February 6, 2025, officers from the Narcotics Unit and Special Services Unit conducted the operation, resulting in the discovery of the illicit substance. Following further investigations, Hollis Young, a 36-year-old fisherman of Lower Kittels, was arrested on February 11, 2025 at 8:45 p.m. and charged with the following offenses: possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply it to another, and possession of a controlled drug for the purpose of drug trafficking. The SVG-TV continues to make it resoundingly clear that those who engage in the illegal narcotics trade will be caught and they will face the full force of the law. It says the operation in Stony Grounds stands as yet another reminder that the police remain vigilant, strategic, and relentless in the fight against illegal drug activities. Young appeared before the Serious Offences Court on Wednesday, February 12, 2025, where he pleaded not guilty. His matter was adjourned to today, February 13, 2025, where he maintained his plea. The case has been further adjourned to Monday, February 17, 2025. Bail was granted in the sum of $10,000 with one surety. As part of his bail conditions, Young was ordered to surrender all travel documents and report to the Kittels Police Station every Monday between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. The SVG-TV commends the officers involved and encourages anyone with information on drug-related or other criminal activities to contact the police. The SVG-TV says it will not relent in its duty to enforce the law and safeguard the citizens, residents, and visitors across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.